Hello everyone, it's me, Coffee Stitcher. It is the last Sunday in May, if you can believe that. I can't. It's a 3-day weekend for those of us in the US. Woo, holla. So how was everybody's week? Excellent. That's very good to hear. For the person who, and I forget who it was, who asked about my mugs, this one is a mug that I got in Eureka Springs, Arkansas, on my first trip with my now husband. First vacation that we took together, it was when he proposed, and we got this. We loved the Polish pottery, and we'd actually like to buy more and eventually have a whole collection of Polish pottery. But this was the only thing we could afford, was a coffee mug, because this is expensive. So, but I really like it. All right. So we've got a little haul. We've got some Q&A. We've got some whips, and we've got next week's plans for Magical Stitches. So we'll dive right into the Q&A. The first question comes from Michelle White. What or who got you into stitching, and how long have you been stitching for? I'm actually coming up on my 5th anniversary of stitching, which is kind of crazy to think. What got me started was I found a pattern for an Emerald City chart in an Oz selling group. And at the time I was living with my parents still, and Mom was allowing me to decorate another room that was becoming kind of my sleeping area. And I wanted something to put on the wall, and I saw that, and I was like, oh, that could be fun. I could do that. And so I did. And that was when I got hooked. My mom had stitched, my grandmother had stitched, and my great-grandmother had stitched. And there's a video in, like, mid to late July of 2015, I want to say. That I show off some of their pieces of work. So I forget where it is in the scheme of things, but it's somewhere towards mid-late July. Let's see, Dee Dee Rose says, can you explain in more detail what you did to modify Toto? And that's on my Alforce Embroidery Emerald City. And what I did was I used Black Forest from the Karen collection, I believe. It's definitely Karen collection. I just don't remember which version of the Karen collection it is. Wildflowers. And all I did was I overstitched where I had already stitched, sort of haphazardly, and I'm sorry I can't get a clearer shot of him, to sort of follow it to make it look like the wiry hair of terriers. So that's all I did, was I basically just overstitched in random small stitches in different directions. So, yeah. That's what I did. Well, hold on to that for a little bit later. You'll see it again. Ladybug Fairy is a lot of fun. I do recommend that one. Good luck with the color conversion on Queen Anne's Lace. I think it'll be beautiful, but I know, having done Woodland Fairy, color conversions are tricky. Let's see. Kelly Bell, I'm sorry that I enabled you, but I'm not really sorry at the same time. Sorry, not sorry. Okay. Let's see. Cindy McGetty, you're, I can talk. I'm not as much of a space cadet this week as I was last week. And you're welcome to Grebo for not editing out the start of that video. That was a hot mess. But I'm glad you enjoy how I interact with y'all. To me, that's more fun. It's like you're all here, invited into my home every week. It's like the Garrett Show. God, wouldn't that be terrible if I actually had my own, like, daily talk show? God, I'd be obnoxious. Pardon me. Cat Gallant says, you have nice fabric for your pieces. How do you decide on your fabric, and do you belong to a fabric club? The second one is, the first question part's a little harder to answer, so I'll answer the second part first. And the answer is yes, I do belong to a fabric club. Currently, I'm in the one for Under the Sea Fabrics. I tend to buy the ship's manner when the fabric of the month is a color I like or would use. But generally, about every couple of months, I go through and I hit either ship's manner. Under the Sea, I tend to wait for her sales and then stock up big. And I do Color and Cotton. And I've been meaning to buy some more Color and Cotton, and I haven't yet. But the Under the Sea is the only monthly club I'm in. I have belonged to the ship's manor in the past. I can only kind of afford to do one at a time, so I tend to rotate back and forth between them. But since ship's manor gives you the option to skip a month, I can always skip, because he does it differently. It's not like an automatic thing. That way I can pick and choose as I want. Let's see. How do I decide on my fabric? Generally what I do is I look at the pattern and I look at the colors in it and I think, okay, it's, because most of the time, like for instance, say Sister Suffragette, which I did do it on a neutral, but that's not a good example. Let's take Quaker Oz, for instance. It was charted to be done on Silver Mist from Stephanie, which is sort of a gray color. But I didn't want to do it on just a neutral. So I looked at it and I thought, okay, what colors would this look good on? And there's a lot of red, there's a lot of yellow, so that's automatically out. I'm hesitant to use all green, to use a green for Oz. Blue greens are fine. Obviously I'm using a bluish greenish for Emerald City. But I always feel like because generally Emerald City is a big focus of it, or you've got the Emerald City, you've got grass, you've got the Wicked Witch, you've got a lot of green in it, and I'm always afraid of losing the green to do it that way. So that's why I went with a bluish color. So a lot of the times I based off what the design is, and what colors I think it will support. And then usually, sometimes I know just right away, like, this is the fabric for this, and it's done, it's over with. And there are times where I sit down and go, okay, well, I've got like 4 fabric choices. And then starts the Facebook messaging of, y'all help me pick. And generally I find the color I was already leaning towards is the color everyone else leans towards. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm surprised. But that's kind of how I do it. Poor Katie, the Stash Queen, gets a ton of, oh my god, do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? Do I want to do this? Do I want to do that? I think she and another friend would have probably were ready to kill me over my Words to Live by style, because that was a lot of, but what do I do? 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 So, I hope that answers your question, Kat. Patty Ernest. Yes, it was Giant HP. If it's the one that has Dobby and all the others on it, that's Giant Harry Potter. It may be Epic Harry Potter, but I think it's Giant Harry Potter. and it's available through Clouds Factory. You can buy it in parts, or you can buy it all together for a little bit cheaper, but it is available there. And there's a group for it too, so you can see a lot of people's really cool modifications. Yvette did a phenomenal burrow in her Weasley row. Like, it was just awesome. Country Cross Stitcher, yes, my pile of FOs not FFO'd. It's not necessarily about the same in terms of amount, but yeah, there's still a lot more FOs that are not FFO'd. All right, and that takes us to the end of the Q&A. So let me grab a little more coffee. And we'll dive into the haul. So this week's haul consisted of my nest egg from Trisha of 3 owls. So we've got the Krynics. This is Brass Key. This is Bronze High Luster. This is Brazilianite. And Blue Zircon. So we're in the B's, working our way towards the C's. Right, and then we got my 10 from Tangential Arts. And by my counting, because I went to my LNS yesterday, by basing it off of what was on the wall there, we are about 5 months out from hitting the end of Gentle Arts. So, this is Presidential Blue, Punchberry, and Porcelain. It's a really pretty color grouping this time. Peacock, Mulberry, and Pumpkin Patch. Moss, Ragdoll, Raven, and Purple Iris. So, as always, they arrived beautifully, wonderfully, have 0 complaints. Although I find it incredibly interesting that if she, and this is not her fault in the slightest bit at all, this is the wonkiness of the Postal Service, if she mails them on a Saturday, then I will have them Monday from Michigan to Texas. If she mails it on Monday, I don't get it till Thursday. Go figure. All right. So, like I said, yesterday I did go to Stitch Niche. I didn't get a whole lot. I got one DMC that I needed. I needed Gold Leaf for quilts. I also needed Ginger Snap, which Ginger Snap was on back order, so we took the the DMC, and I went with Chili Pepper from Classic Colorworks. And then my Claret from Gast is way radically different dye lot wise than what's currently out there. So as a substitute, I got Bandana, because I'm not sure I'll have enough Claret. So I got Bandana from Classic Colorworks, because it was fairly close. Most of the Clarets out there, or that they had, the 2 they had were a lighter, just the light color by itself. But mine had a lot of a darker color in with it. So, I'm gonna toss those in my quilts bag. Which is the entire reason why I got it out, was because I knew I was doing this and I could just sort it. Okay, and then I got another pattern. This is from the Sampler Company. Because I really wanted to do one of those, but since I need a very large piece of fabric for that one, I thought, well, since I'm not buying fabric anytime soon, at least in big cuts, that I would get another one. So I got this one. It's New England Sampler. So, yeah. All right. So, now we'll get on to the whip updates. Woo! Okay. So, I did finish that little section on Aurora that I wanted to finish. So here she is. So she's coming along quite nicely. There's a lot more blue in her than I actually thought there would be based off the picture. So I'll keep working my way across on Aurora. Right. So this week's Magical Stitches homework was based around the Triwizard tournament. We had to do, and it was a color stitching challenge. So we had to do 200 stitches in brown for Victor Crumb, 200 in blue for Fleur. We had to do 200 in yellow for Cedric, and 200 in red for Harry. And then for extra points, we could do an additional 200 in any of the other 4 colors for who we're rooting for. So, I kicked mine off working on Quaker Oz, and I got 200 brown stitches with the tree and the first monkey leg. So I went ahead, and what I did was I got my goal, and then I went back and worked on it. After I got all my goals done, then I went back and worked on it an additional time. So I finished out what's of the tree on that page. So the tree is completely done. So I've just got the monkey and the weird sort of gingham pattern that's between the monkey and the tree. And then we'll have a page finish. So and part of me debated about going on and doing the page finish now, but I wanted to go back to Atlantis. So that was my 200 for Victor, plus page update. Then I worked on Atlantis. So again, there's the full thing. I was working on the jellyfish. So here is my 200 for Fleur. So I will finish up. I'm going to do my best to finish up the jellyfish today. That's my plan. Then we had our... Then I'll go ahead on to Harry. So then I got my 200 on Harry, which was the red, and I finished out the red part of the skirt on Miss Ladybug. So tomorrow I will be tackling the white in her skirt. So, and this is on Lucky by Lucky by Ship's Manor. So, yeah. And I think at a distance, the color gradient isn't quite so jarring as it is when you get up close. So, and that was the one that I needed another 321 for, because I didn't have a lot left. And it's a present from mi madre, and I texted her, I was like, what do you think about the wings? She's like, well, she's a fairy, she has to have wings. I went, well, crap, I've got to buy more 321 then. Alright, and so then, for, Cedric, I did my, did Words to Live By Tiny Modernist Sal, so I started in the center. I know it looks off-center, but I promise this is centered. And there's my 400 yellow stitches, which is the sun. So, and I did 200 for him, and then 200 because I'm rooting for him, because obviously we're dating. And, but I'm not too thrilled that he's doing this whole thing. I'm just not. I have a bad feeling about it, and he's kind of ignoring that. So I'm not too happy with him right now. Because, apparently my feelings just don't matter because he wants to actually do... And I mean, I get it, but whatevs, Besides, George Weasley's been very friendly to me lately, so who knows. All right. So next week is focused around SPEW, that wonderful organization that my good friend Hermione has started that I'm not entirely sure I completely agree with, but I have a feeling I'm going to be forced to join anyways. So we're supposed to work on I think it's either 200 or 400 stitches for each letter. So we've got S, so I'm going to work on Sister Suffragette by Summerhouse Needleworks. So there's the design, and I've got to, I think I'm going to go and work on bunting. So I'm going to finish out the bunting on it. So I've got 2 of the 3 done, so I'm going to do the other part of the bunting, and then depending on how many stitches are left, I don't think there will be any, but if there are, then I'll do the date under it. Then all that'll be left will be the words and the birds. The words and birds. As we cast off the shackles of yesterday, soldiers and soldiers into the fray. God, I love Glynis Johns. For the P, I'm doing Paradise Lost. So it's 200 stitches. There we go. Cancel this for okay. So I'm going to just try and focus on filling in the cloud. Because really, once the cloud is done, then it's kind of hard to see. But all that's left on this page then is the angel, the crown, and a bird. And that's it. And then I'll be at a page finish. And then I can continue my life with this thing and maybe get closer to getting it actually done. Although I'm a little bit afraid that maybe I don't have enough fabric. That's gonna piss me off. If I get that far and there's not enough fabric, oh boy. Then that means this one will never get done. Because I won't go back on that. That's just not a thing. Not gonna be a thing. But I think I'm fine. For E, which I was racking my brain on, because I just don't have any projects that started with E, and I didn't have any designer names. But then, thankfully, I remembered that the next part of Emerald City comes out on Saturday. So it'll be Emerald City, and I will be working on the next part of it. So my thinking is it's going to be over here, but I could also be completely wrong. So... And then for W, which was also the project I took to work and really didn't get a whole lot done on, but W is going to be with the needle from Lila's Studios. So I'll hopefully finish out the green and start working on other parts. Although part of me really wants to work on it today. But I won't, because then I'm going to be scrounging for another W, and I didn't have any other W's. Although I guess I could do... If I did do that one, then I would also have as an option the Fairy Tale Sal from Cross Stitcher magazine, because Shannon Christine designs, her last name is Waisliff, and that would count for the W. So, anyhow, that's about it for me today. I hope everyone has a great week. Drop me some Q&A, because you know I love it, and I will see you all next time.